azab forever, unforgiven ever. So part of the story of Ashura got done in the day of Ashura after Imam Hussain became Shaheed. But Banu Zainab al-Kubra was actually the acting leader of the camp because Imam Zaman, Imam Zainul Abidin was in bed and could not move and lead the Qafila. But Zainab al-Kubra was Nawab Imam and took care of the children of Imam Hussain and the Qafila. The thing is that, like, when one of us passes away, like today I heard that Brother Nayir's mother passed away a few hours ago, and we take refuge into the Quran and read these ayat to give ourselves a taskin. But every day, we are not, a lot of times, in the presence, thinking that this could be happening to us, it could happen to somebody that is close to us. And if you remember last week that the speaker was talking about how to align yourself to dua and namaz and Quran, we have to listen to that and keep this into the heart and see how we are aligning ourselves with the things that is said in the Quran, is Kalamullah Majid and A'immah and Rasul, and try to do better every day. Because the time passes, we are getting closer to the grave. And the only person that can help us is ourselves. And how we can take the guidance. You know, when you buy a ticket and go from here to Los Angeles, you go to India, you're sitting in the back and they are taking care of you, they're giving you drinks, they're giving you food. But somebody's sitting in the front and guiding this plane home. And he's getting a lot of help from the ground, telling him if there is a storm and there is a problem, and he's just checking the machine, make sure this plane goes from Kansas City to New York to someplace else. So we as a human also have this need for guidance. And that guidance comes through the dua, it comes through the munajat Amir al-Mu'mineen, and more importantly comes from the Quran. So the more and more we align ourselves with that, regardless of the politics, regardless of who is in the lead and who is not in the lead, what are we doing to guide ourselves is what counts at the end. And then, you know, today is, as I always say, is Friday, and another day passed us and Imam Zaman is in Ghaibat. And the dua says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us guidance so we can control our nafs. And if we control our nafs, then we can get acquainted with the Nabi, with the Rasul Akram. And then if we get acquainted and know Rasul Akram, we know Imam Zaman. And if we don't have any guidance to know our Imam Zaman, God forbid, if comes to the time that we are tested, who knows what we're going to do. Because Imam Zaman is waiting for us to go to his help so he can do the zuhur. And every Friday that passes, we are one day closer to death, and another week that we are not in the presence of our Imam Zaman. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
But Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Mu'ajjil faraj. For the love of the Holy Prophet and his holy family, please recite the second salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad mu'ajjil faraj. For the reappearance of our awaited Savior, please recite the third salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad mu'ajjil faraj. We come to a point in these days of mourning where tomorrow is the day of Shahadat of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam. So the Salam and Marsiya that I have tonight talks about the imprisonment of the Imam and what the Imam had to go through and what the experiences that he had. But Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. نام پر شاہ کے پانی جو پلا دیتے ہیں، میرے کوثر انہیں مجھے رائی دعا، میرے کوثر انہیں مجھے رائی دعا دیتے ہیں۔ فاطمہ کہتی ہے دنیا میں یہ آباد رہے، شے کا پرسا مجھے سب اہل عزا، شے کا پرسا مجھے سب اہل عزا دیتے ہیں۔ قتل اکبر سا پسر ہوتا ہے، شے کرتے ہیں شکر، صبر ایوب کو شبیر جلا، صبر ایوب کو شبیر جلا دیتے ہیں۔ پوچھتا ہے جو کوئی کس نے کمر کو توڑا، شاہ عباس کے لاشے کو بتا، شاہ عباس کے لاشے کو بتا دیتے ہیں۔ ذبح شبیر کو کرتا ہے لئی خنجر سے، بوسہ حلقوم پہ محبوب خدا، بوسہ حلقوم پہ محبوب خدا دیتے ہیں۔ چشم سجاد اگر ذوف سے ہو جاتی ہے بند، اشقیاء پاؤں کی زنجیر ہلا، اشقیاء پاؤں کی زنجیر ہلا دیتے ہیں۔ خواب میں آن کے عابد سے یہ سرور نے کہا، کہو بیٹا تمہیں ملعون دوا دیتے ہیں۔ عرض عابد نے یہ کی مانتا ہوں جب پانی، مجھ کو دکھلا کے ستم گار بہا، مجھ کو دکھلا کے ستم گار بہا دیتے ہیں۔ یہ سلام شہ مظلوم کہا خوب دبیر، دیکھوں انعام میں مولا مجھے کیا، دیکھوں انعام میں مولا مجھے کیا دیتے ہیں۔ نام پر شاہ کے پانی، صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد۔ شاہ والا نے شہادت کا سر انجام کیا، سر کٹا ظلم سہے حق کا مگر کام کیا، صبر نے عابد بیمار کے اتمام کیا، باپ اور بیٹے نے اسلام کو اسلام کیا، وعدہ طفلی کا جو شبیر وفا کرتے ہیں، حق یہ فرزندی سرور کا ادا کرتے ہیں، حق یہ فرزندی سرور کا ادا کرتے ہیں۔ کر گئے تھے جو وصیت شہدی وقت اخیر، صبر سے کام لیا کیجیو باد شبیر، شکر کرنا جو پنہائے تمہیں بھاری زنجیر، بد دعا دینا نہ امت کو جو زینب ہو اسیر، تم جو بگڑو گے تو خالق کا غضب آئے گا، کام جو میں نے بنایا ہے بگڑ جائے گا، کام جو میں نے بنایا ہے بگڑ جائے گا۔ دھیان بابا کی وصیت پر جو کرتے ہیں امام، ان کے قاتل سے بھی فرماتے ہیں نرمی سے کلام، توق پہنانے کو لاتا ہے جو وہ بد انجام، خود بڑھا دیتے ہیں گردن کو شہنشاہ انام، یہ تحمل ہے اسے شان وفا کہتے ہیں، کہنے والے اسے تسلیم و رضا کہتے ہیں، کہنے والے اسے تسلیم و رضا کہتے ہیں، باپ کی لاش پر وہ ظلم ہوا کچھ نہ کہا، چھن گئی ثانی زہرا کی ردا کچھ نہ کہا، بازو ناموس کا رسی میں بندھا کچھ نہ کہا، تازیانوں کی صحیح سخت جفا کچھ نہ کہا، غم سے مادر کا جگر سینے میں پھٹتے دیکھا، علی اصغر کا گلا قبر میں کٹتے دیکھا، علی اصغر کا گلا قبر میں کٹتے دیکھا، سربراہ ناصر دربار گئے صبر کیا، در بدر کوچہ و بازار گئے صبر کیا، قدرتیں رکھ کے گرفتار گئے صبر کیا، بے دوا قید میں بیمار گئے صبر کیا، قدر بابا کی وصیت کی دکھائی تو نے، قبر ہاتھوں سے سکینہ کی بنائی تو نے، قبر ہاتھوں سے سکینہ کی بنائی تو نے، یا علی دیکھ لو پوتے کی مصیبت دیکھو، غم و اندوہ کی تصویر ہے صورت دیکھو، شدت تب سے غضب کی ہے نقاہت دیکھو، توق پھر اس پہ گلے میں ہے قیامت دیکھو، توق پھر اس پہ گلے میں ہے قیامت دیکھو، وقف عالم ہے حضرت کے گھرانے والے، کیا ستم سہتے ہیں امت کے بچانے والے، کیا ستم سہتے ہیں امت کے بچانے والے، لشکر شام نے جو ظلم کیے حد سے سوا، آج تک بھی ہے تیرے در پہ ایذا آدھا، تو نے برداشت کیا منہ سے مگر کچھ نہ کہا، آہ باقی تیری تربت کا نشاں بھی نہ رہا، آہ باقی تیری تربت کا نشاں بھی نہ رہا، زیست میں باپ کے عالم پہ رونا نہ ملا، قبر میں بھی تجھے آرام سے سونا نہ ملا، قبر میں بھی تجھے آرام سے سونا نہ ملا، ہائے جیتے ہیں تیری قبر مٹانے والے، خلد میں احمد مرسل کو رلانے والے، چشم انصاف سے دیکھو تو زمانے والے، کیسے ہوتے ہیں محمد کے گھرانے والے، کیسے ہوتے ہیں محمد کے گھرانے والے، زہر پیتے ہیں گلا تیغ سے کٹواتے ہیں، قبر میں جا کے بھی آرام نہیں پاتے ہیں، قبر میں جا کے بھی آرام نہیں پاتے ہیں، صلوات اللہم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔
نعرہ صلوات۔
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔
نعرہ صلوات۔
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔
پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین، پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین، کفن بھی تو نے نہیں پایا میرے حسین حسین، اسی لیے تجھے پالا تھا فاطمہ نے کیا، اسی لیے تجھے پالا تھا فاطمہ نے کیا، پڑا ہے دھوپ میں لاشا میرے حسین حسین، پڑا ہے دھوپ میں لاشا میرے حسین حسین، نشان گلے پہ غریباں کا شاک تھا مجھ کو، نشان گلے پہ غریباں کا شاک تھا مجھ کو، گلا وہ تیغ سے کاٹا میرے حسین حسین، گلا وہ تیغ سے کاٹا میرے حسین حسین، بطول نے تمہیں پالا تھا پیس کر چکی، بطول نے تمہیں پالا تھا پیس کر چکی، فلک نے کیوں تمہیں پیسا میرے حسین حسین، فلک نے کیوں تمہیں پیسا میرے حسین حسین، میرے غریب میرے فاقہ کش میرے پیاسے، میرے غریب میرے فاقہ کش میرے پیاسے، میرے شہید تمنا میرے حسین حسین، میرے شہید تمنا میرے حسین حسین، میں آئی ہوں تجھے لے رونے کو خلد سے بیٹا، میں آئی ہوں تجھے رونے کو خلد سے بیٹا، مجھے دو اٹھ کے دلاسا میرے حسین حسین، مجھے دو اٹھ کے دلاسا میرے حسین حسین، بسی ہے شام کی بستی مدینہ ویران ہے، بسی ہے شام کی بستی مدینہ ویران ہے، مزار ہے میرا سونا میرے حسین حسین، مزار ہے میرا سونا میرے حسین حسین، پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین، پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین، کفن بھی تو نے نہیں پایا میرے حسین حسین، پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین، نعرہ سلوات۔
على محمد وآل محمد.
رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين فاطر السماوات والأرضين ثم الصلاة على رسوله الكريم جد الحسن والحسين مولانا ومولى الثقلين بالقاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الغر الميامين المحجلين واللعنة على أعدائهم أجمعين وغاصبي حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم من يومنا هذا إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله تعالى في كتابه الحكيم وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وجعلناهم أئمة يهدون بأمرنا وأوحينا إليهم فعل الخيرات إقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة وكانوا لنا عابدين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Brother and sister, today is 24th of Muharram, and tonight we're going to commemorate the Shahadat of our fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. And these series of lectures related to our Imam, and we try to fulfill our responsibility toward our Imam. I mentioned several times we have 10 responsibility toward our Imam. Number one is ma'arifat, we have to recognize our Imam. Then muhabbat, we have to love and have muwaddat of our Imam. Then ita'at, we have to be obedient to our Imams. Then next is visiting their graves, sending salutation and salam to them. Then we have like to propagate their message to others. Not only we have to love our Imams, but we have to have good relation to believers who ever love our Imams. And we never make their enemy as a friend. These are the responsibility we have to carry forward to our next generation so they can consider true believers of our Imam. So when we are discussing our Imams, Allah automatically giving many messages in the Quran to recognize our Imam according to point of view given in the Quran. One of the ayat I mentioned in the beginning of my lecture, what Allah said, Allah saying, وَجَعَلْنَهُمْ أَئِمَّةً يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا. First message Allah is delivering. Imams are not selected by people. Imams are selected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they are guiding according to the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and whatever power given to them by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yahduna bi-amrina. Then Allah said, when we send to you as a guide, they are not disconnected from us. They are continuously have connection with us. وَوَحَيْنَا إِلَيْهِمْ فَعْلَ الْخَيْرَاتِ. We inspire them with the good deeds. They know what to convey the message. And that inspiration is very important. So that means whatever our Imams are leaving message for us, that message is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we follow our Imam, we are not only following our Imam, actually we are following the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's called ibadat. Then next, Allah said, two good deeds Allah is highlighting in this message. One is, أَوْحَيْنَا لَهُمْ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ إِقَامِ الصَّلَاةِ وَإِيتَاءِ الزَّكَاةِ. Iqam salat, they establish prayer, Itai zakat, and they pay their zakat or any kind of Islamic taxes. But you know, this is the one of the very important things to remember. In Quran, almost 60 or 70 times, between 60 and 70, 69 normally, Allah mentioned aqimus salat wa itai zakat. Only one place, these are two things are separated. Most of the time they are both mentioned together. But they are asked question, why these two things are mentioned together, while one is wajib 5 times a day and one is wajib only once a year. But both are mentioned together. So there may be some other meaning related to that. And meaning is that when we say qamus salat, that means build a relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you worship, you are building relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Itai zakat, to build relationship to other human beings. So that's the reason, if you are not establishing the relationship on both sides, you don't have the very good life in this world. So that's the iqam salat wa itai zakat. Wa kanu lana abidin. Allah is giving one identity. When you want to recognize your Imam, they are very humble and devotee to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are best worshipper. Kanu lana abidin, they are best worshippers. And that's the reason our Imam Zainul Abidin is the best worshipper, because it's a jewel of worshipper. Sayyidul Sajidin, one of his title. Other is Abidin, Zainul Abidin. Zainul Abidin means he's the beauty for worshippers. So beauty for worshippers, that's the important. So if we want to learn the worship, we have to keep the worship of Imam Zainul Abidin in our mind. If we are keeping Imam Zainul Abidin's worship in our mind, then we have really learned. Recite salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So, when we are learning to worship through our Imam Zainul Abidin salam, there's many messages, you know, the stories. I don't want to go in that message. I'm going to give you, inshallah, some other part of his life to discuss and adopt in our life, to we can make our life really successful. Today I was discussing about subject of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, ahadith. In his ahadith, he guides us how we can make our life successful and we can reach in highest goal in hereafter. If you want to become successful in this life, there's the many commands and messages left by our fourth Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. So not only how to worship, if we go to just look into worship of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, when he start worshipping, he is like the prayer. As soon as go toward the wuzu, his conditions change. His color become pale. He start trembling. He have like the completely different mode of his presence. And that's because people ask, why Maula you change when you are going for salat? And he said, because if you recognize your Lord and his authority, you understand you're standing in front of Almighty. When you're standing Almighty, if you recognize him, you have that kind of feeling. Quran mentions several things when we have relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we worship with proper understanding, our situation change. We really forget this word because our attention is toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What happened? Because our recognition is very basic, and the reason is this worldly things pull us toward that, and we have very little connection in our salat to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only few moments we have a true connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When your salat going to recall in Day of Judgment, establish in form of the true meaning, that we're going to see the whole salat in different mode. What riwayat is explaining, when we see our salat, some of salat is bright and shiny, rest of them is dark and have no light. Then people are going to ask, what happened to my salat? Some portion is very bright and shiny, some are dark. And answer is given to us. You say, whenever you establish connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, during salat, when you think about what you're reciting and about your Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your salat have brightness because you are connected to Allah. But while we are standing the salat, we think about what I'm going to go, what happened in past, what my actually goal is after my salat. We are actually thinking about this world. At the time, that portion going to be dark. Simple like the example, when you're connected to like the electricity, you have light. You pull out the plug, you always have no light. Our salat is like that. So Imam is giving us message. If you're standing the salat, try to gain attention. I don't know, I may discuss here or not. There's a 28 ways to attain the attention in the salat. If you really want to attain proper attention in your salat, you have to do these 28 things one by one to have a proper attention in your salat. That's one of the things we have to learn again and again, so our salat become very fruitful. We have proper attention in our salat. That's one of the message from Imam Zainul Abidin. We are commemorating his shahadat. We have to learn from him how to offer our salat on daily basis with the best form, so have best reward in hereafter. True salat change our life, really. If we start praying correctly, you see our life is completely changing. Many times I seen really, this is like I told you many times here, I go on different the places to visit, and I have few of my the lectures based on science like I already discussed here about wuzu and other things. I check the people wuzu and they are making mistakes, still making mistakes because they learn in their childhood, they never corrected when they become adult, and they still making the mistakes, or the habit is overpowering their true ways of performing wuzu. Because you have to wash your body, organs according to a special way in the wuzu. While you are washing yourself in daily basis, you're using different procedure. These two procedures are contradicting to each other. You can wash your face in the morning way you want, from right to left, left to right, up to down, doesn't matter, right? Because your purpose is to make yourself clean. But in wuzu, a special procedure you have to adopt. You cannot change that procedure. So these two things are changed. So I teach my students one thing, very basic things. If you use the wuzu method in your regular, the washing of your face and hand, you're going to be winner. Because you start that method, then you always have a habit to perform correct wuzu. If both things are contradicting, sometime unknowingly your regular procedure going to be adopted during the wuzu, and wuzu going to be batil. Your salat have no meaning then. Because this is the hadith I mentioned. Bismillah is key of wuzu is key of the salat, and salat is key of paradise. Recite salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Like your jewel inside the box, you have 3-4 like the locks. If you are unable to open the one, you cannot open the next one. That is related to one to another. You go step by step, then you can reach to the last level. So let's discuss one important discussion, inshallah, about Imam Az-Zahra. He gave the 10 good advice to make your life and hereafter successful. So first hadith by Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, if you want to make your life successful, what Imam said? Imam said, the first thing, remember, if you refrain from backbiting and just iqtiyab, have two meaning. Iqtiyab means ghibat, or highlighting other people's mistakes. Amal ma'ruf is another thing. Highlighting other people's mistake in public is not advisable any manner. Because we say if you want to make someone correct, you have to have a special procedure. Unless there is some issues, if not correcting right there, other people may think this is the correct procedure. Then you very politely, very nicely, you have to make them correct. Otherwise, you have to give the time, check again, and correct. So first thing, Ijtinab min al-iqtiyab means backbiting. Number 2, serving the people without asking any favor from them. If you want to become successful in your life, first start serving the people before you have in your mind, if I do something to him, he going to do something to me. That kind of things not give you good reward in this world and hereafter. So Imam saying, if you want to become successful, you have to make sure you're doing these things. How you're doing these things? You have to establish a good relationship to others. You serve them without any demand from them. The second thing Imam said, if you want to become successful, this second thing. You see, both are building good relationship between human beings. If we really respect each other, give them time, and especially when we serve them without any expectation from them, any return from them, that's like the foundation of true relationship. And if you see this relationship between parents and children, parents never raise their kids for any favor they want from them. This is the true spirit they have in their life, to give whatever support they want. And especially when the child is just born, what he can do for his parents. He's just burden on his parents. But parents love to raise him, give him whatever he wants, and make themselves in hardship and give comfort to their children. Imam said, this spirit must remain in you, to helping each other without any return from them. That's a good thing. I was just coming, we are talking about like the Arbain with Abu Ali Bhai, and he said like, if so you go to like the Iraq during like the Arbain and you see the walk and people are serving each other, they have that spirit. They never demand any return, because they don't know you're going to come next year or not, you're going to stay on that same like the place or not, who you are. They're serving just for sake of Imam Hussain. They want to make Imam Hussain happy. They want to make Allah happy. If you have that spirit to each other, you really have a great life. You have no problem. Mainly people have problem in our life because our expectations are high. We are demanding so many things from them. Right? When we are asking so many things from them, then what happens? If we are not receiving, we feel bad, and relationships are getting worse. This is the main purpose. So Imam said, if you want to really make your life good, serve the people without any expectation. For sake of Allah, you have really good life. Your life going to be easy, because always you find better help than you seek yourself. Because when you're doing for sake of Allah, then it is Allah's responsibility to get help for you whenever you are needed, because you serve someone for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is like the spirit of Imam Zainul Abidin. Imam is giving really good message to us to build our life on base of these fundamentals to become successful in this life and hereafter. Then in next and last thing, there are 4 or 5 hadiths, inshallah, I'm going to quote one by one to guide us to how we can make our life successful. And successful life give you really salvation in hereafter. If our life is miserable according to Islamic practices, then we cannot find the good success in hereafter. So both are related to each other. The Imam said then your life must be based on taqwa, fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These 3 fundamental Imam taught in first hadith. Recite salawat please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. This is the life of human being are based on that. Let me just quote one hadith from last time when I came. I remember I discussed about, because I have to check so many things. I'm reciting so many majalis every year, especially in my center. When I'm serving my center since like the 30 years, almost 30 years. And they recorded my many lectures, and at least 3 per week they record. Since 2012, YouTube is holding all the lectures, otherwise they kept in the different mode in the computer. So there's the one, like the guy, he passed, who brought me here 30 years ago, a guy, his name was Noshad Momin. He brought me in 1994 from India to serve this community. And I was serving them since that time. Alhamdulillah, they have continuously the same program. So they asked me to just recite his like the Majlis for his like third day of his passed away is called like the Ziyarat Majlis in our like the Jamaat we call Ziyarat Majlis or we call in Urdu Tatija. So they hold after a few days because he passed away on 7th of Muharram. So I was thinking how I can like the give him like reward whatever he done for me. So I mentioned that thing not for like the my position but actually whatever he received from me. That's the main thing. So you have this, remember that thing is when you serve this community, you are also entitled for that kind of reward, whatever I am mentioning here. So I said, this is not on one majlis. I am going to recite for him, and he gets thawab of this majlis, which is established for his like ziyarat from his family. I said, no, this is not only majlis he is going to get reward. He brought me here, and I got chance to go on this member more than 5,000 times in 30 years. I deliver my lectures from this member, on that member, 5,000 times. And he was happy, and because he brought me here and I was delivering this lecture, so he has shared in my all the lectures. So actually his majlis sawab is not only for one majlis, he has sawab for all the majalis. Recite salawat please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I encourage the people when they are building like the centers and they have chance to become founder members, to donate good money and they can establish like the centers, whatever like the programs held there, they're going to share the thawab in that program. But again, there's not only the way to receive the reward, other way, what Imam Ali Raza said. Imam Raza said, whenever some good thing is happening, this is a beautiful hadith. Imam said, whenever something good is happening, and you are agree with that and happy with that, you are actually have share in that good deed. Sometimes something bad thing is happening, you are there, but you are not happy, you are not actually sharing the punishment there because you are unhappy. But other things Imam said, something is happening somewhere else, you are not present, but when you hear and you are happy, you also share the sawab. So according to this hadith, we were not in Karbala, right? But what we say, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum. Oh Imam Hussain, if I was there, I was with you, I serve you. That means, Imam said, if you wish that thing, today you get thawab, tomorrow when Imam Zamana reappear, you get chance to attend his army. Recite salawat please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. So even though, as I said, not only he like the get the sawab, but whatever majalis I recite, if you are happy with that, you are agree with my like the service, then you also share the sawab because you are providing assistance to me, managing the centers, providing facility for the attendees and serving them. You really get reward. There's not countable. We cannot understand what reward we are receiving through that. Because Imam said, what Imam said, Imam Abdin, they say, whoever, this is like the two good hadiths from Imam, remember guys. If I want, I can quote in Arabic, some people are here, so inshallah they can listen, recite loud salawat please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. You see, when we do certain things in our life and we try to gain the thawab, we have to understand what thawab we are actually receiving for our deeds. So Imam said, if you go for ziyarat of a mu'min, if you want to visit a believer, what happens when you visiting a believer, Imam Zainul Abidin's hadith, if you go to visit a believer for sake of Allah, not for sake of gaining your own benefits, right? Sometimes we meet each other to give and get benefit from each other. But sometimes no, we are going for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you are going for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happened? Not only you go to visit him, but you receive company of 70,000 angels with you. What am I saying? When you go visit a believer for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, 70,000 angels going to give you company. Not only give you company, but when you reach there, right, and meet to each other, when you're meeting each other, Allah going to forgive your sins. Meeting each other, is one of the the benefit you receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a man zara akhahu fillahi talaban anjaza mu'udihi shayya sabuna alfa malak. So when you go to visit a believer, what happened? 70,000 angels go with you. وَحَتَفَى بِهِ حَاتِفٌ مِّنْ خَلْفِ أَتْيَبَالْ وَتَابَ لَكَ الْجَنَّةِ. You deserve paradise. Atyabal means Allah cleans your sin. When you're visiting each other for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you meet a believer to another believer. Atyaba and tab. Allah, they use two words. They are means Allah cleans your sin. Tabat lakal jannah. Wa idha safat ghamarat hul rahma. When they just shake hand to each other, Allah's mercy going to cover them. Allah's mercy going to shower upon them. So this is the benefit, even visiting each other. So when you are coming to the majlis for acquiring knowledge, for fulfilling the right of Ahlul Bayt, for meeting the Mu'minins, and especially performing the Salat-e-Jamaat. When you leave your home for Salat-e-Jamaat, every step you take toward the masjid or wherever the Jamaat is established, you deserve the sawab. Every step you take toward the masjid, Allah forgive your sin, give you reward, and elevate your status. Some riwayat said the numbers is so high. So this is the one of the things. So when you are coming and visiting a believer, this is the one of the great things. Again, you see what Imam said. They say, how we make our life successful. Means successful have many meanings. Sometimes success means we reached the goal we want. That's not called success. Success means your time is utilized to give you best reward in this world hereafter. That's called success. What we call successful investment, your money is secure and accumulate, earn more benefit for you, right? So successful life means your life is on right path and you gain thawab in hereafter. So this is like the another is man atama mu'minan min ju'e atamallahu min thamaril jannah. If you feed any believer for sake of Allah, Allah going to feed you with the fruit of paradise. Then man saqa mu'minan man dhama saqallahu min rahiqil makhtum. Rahiqil makhtum means the special the kind of drink which completely secure and given to you, especially the design for you to have a special pleasure. This is the many meaning. Waman kasa mu'minan kasallahu min thiyabil khuzr. The three things Imam mentioned. If you really not only meet, but you have to have a good relation to others. How you good relation? If they are hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them drinks. And last thing, if they need clothes, you have to help them in clothing them. And all things, Allah said, you are giving me, and I am going to return in day of judgment. This all things done by Imam Zainul Abidin regularly. Imam advising us. But when Imam Zainul Abidin advising us, he done in his life several times. How he done? When he passed away, there is iska Zu Safanat. One of his title is Zu Safanat. Means his skin was hard, especially on 7 places of the sajda. Because he was praying 1,000 rakat every day. Day and night, 1,000 rakat. So when someone is praying 1,000 rakat every day, then effects going to be there. And effects means his hard skin cuts every year. But he had one scar on his back. Hard scar. Where it came from? It's not related to 7 part of sajda. They say because Imam regularly carrying heavy load to deliver 300 families of the Medina under his protection. And he was carrying the food and logistics of life on his back to deliver, and that mark is showing that thing. And that's Imam Kasa. Imam give everything whatever they need in all these 3 forms. When Imam is doing his whole life and asking us to do, that means this is the true way of success. Means whatever we have to share. Imam says same thing. You see, there's 2 type of the leaders. One is leader of this world, one is leader of the paradise. If you want to become leader, Imam gave 2 advice, right? Number 1. Who are the leaders of this world? Askhiya. Sakhi. Generous people consider leaders of the community. And who are the leaders of hereafter? Atqiya, the people are God-fearing, they are piety and taqwa. Muttaqi people are going to be leader of hereafter. So alhamdulillah, if someone attending these both qualities, leader in this world and leader in hereafter. So we have to develop that kind of the habit of generosity. Generosity is one of the great teachings of our Imam. They were so generous, so generous. I was discussing in one of my khutbah before I came here. You see, when Imam went to the Makkah, more than 20 times he performed Hajj. When he went for Hajj, right, people are coming for Hajj from different places. And Imam went for Hajj. In the way he tried to go for Hajj, number one condition, he tried to join the caravan where he is not very much recognized. So they can serve the other people and people are not stopping him from serving. When they recognize our Imam, they're not going to allow him to serve. Prophet have that difficulty. Prophet put the condition, if you are not involving me in cooking, I'm not going to eat that food. I have to do something, then I'm going to eat. Then I say, okay, if you are not necessary to slaughter the animal, you're not necessary to clean the meat, you're not necessary to cook. Okay, then Prophet says, okay, I am going to collect the wood, so you can cook the food. Prophet used to participate. That's the Imam. Imam want to participate in something. So what we learn from these two stories? When we come to center, we not come as a guest, we come as a servant. So recite salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Alhamdulillah, the center is always clean, always everything is suitable, available for all the visitors. Normally, if we have the less servant, right, and more people to receive service from them, then you have problem, right? Okay, less servant, more people need help, then we have no good service available, right? But you have more servant and less people receive the help, then you have best service available. So if all the Imams follower, they are coming at the center, come as a servant of Imam Hussain, you see we have no problem at all. All centers runs nicely because that was the teaching of our Prophet and Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. Recite salawat, please. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Imam said many teaching. Alhamdulillah, I have very limited time. I know salat time going to be near and we have to finish our lecture in time. I think tomorrow we're going to discuss again even the new subject, or we're going to inshallah commemorate the Shahadat of Imam tonight and tomorrow, because tomorrow is actually day. Tonight is the night of 25th of Muharram. We going to commemorate our fourth Imam martyrdom and learn more from his life, inshallah. Maybe I can discuss some other subject which is useful for us, because I try to deliver one of my lecture on science, so you can learn, alhamdulillah, more new things from Imam alayhi salam, right? Because when we are learning something from Imam, we have to build our faith on their teachings. This main thing, guys. Education is not beneficiable if not become useful for us in three forms. Number one is become our Aqidah first. Then Aqidah encourages us to put into practice. And practice going to be beneficial for others to adopt. And then it's carry forward even we leave this world. Then our legacy going to be remembered and remain in practice. So these are the ways to we are commemorating the Shahadat. Imam Zainul Abidin Salam have many good guidelines for us, and we have to adopt in our life. One of them, to propagate the true meaning of Karbala and why Imam Hussain sacrificed his life. His musibah or his tragedy is so big. We cannot understand his tragedy. We will go from his life. Let me give you brief what Imam suffered. He born in 38. And our Imams are Imam from childhood. They are not become Imam with their title. They are from birth, they recognize everything because they're born with the knowledge. So when he was 2 years old, he saw his grandfather's head splitted by the injury of Ibn Muljim. That's the first tragedy Imam suffered in his life. He saw these things when he was very much, just 2 years old. After that, he saw the other injury after 10 years. His uncle, Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he killed by the poison, and he saw the pieces of his liver in the lagan. That is like the another tragedy Imam faced. But that tragedy was not only the tragedy the day when they tried to bury him next to the Prophet, they start shooting arrow on his body, and body brought back to home, and then they took out the arrows and then buried next to his mother in Baqiya. Now Imam was going from many difficulties, and finally he reached to the Karbala, and he was witness for all the tragedy by his own eyes. This Imam came to the Medina, and during his stay in the Medina, every day he tried to find something to convey the message of Karbala. So Minhal was passing by the house of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. What he saw, some like the droplets of water is coming from his roof. He tried to save his clothes from that droplets from. And suddenly, one of the servant of Imam saw that thing. You say, don't save your clothes from that water. This water is so respectable. Go and check what kind of this water is coming from. And he went, what he saw, Imam is crying, and his tears are flowing on the ground. He said, Maula, how long are you going to cry in this way? You're crying like tragedies occur today. And you say, Shahadat is the miras of your family. Still you're crying. The Imam said, yes, Shahadat is our miras, our legacy. But carrying the caravan of the women's without maqna, that is the things make me cry. And whenever I remember my mothers and my aunts, they are in the journey of Kufa and Sham, and people are calling, come and see, these are Sabah Banate Rasulullah. That tragedy was so difficult for me. As I remember, my tears come out from my eyes, I start crying. Imam asked Minhal, you are going Kufa. When you are going Kufa, ask Mukhtar, my Az-Zahra killer is caught and punished or not. Then Minhal left the house of Imam Zainul Abidin, rushed toward the Kufa. When he reached to the Kufa, what he found, he asked the Mukhtar, your Imam is asking, you took revenge from Hurmala or not? Then Mukhtar said, I'm not going to eat anything until I caught the Hurmala. They brought the Hurmala and they asked, what you done? And Hurmala said, I have 3 arrows I use on 3 times. 1 arrow I shoot on the mashq of Sakina alayhi salam. When the Abbas tried to deliver the water to the Sakina, his both hand was cut off. I used the 1 arrow to break the mashkiza, and at the time, the 2nd arrow I used when Imam Hussain brought the Ali Asghar to ask the water. You know, Imam Hussain asked several times, oh my lovers of Shia, if you was present in the Karbala, you can see how your Imam was asking water for this 6-month-old baby. Before they give the water, they kill my Ali Asghar on my hand. And he said, the last arrow I shoot when Imam Hussain was covered with the arrow. He was not coming from his horse. I shoot an arrow on the head of Imam Hussain. Imam got injured. He was explaining that thing, and Mukhtar was crying. You see, Mukhtar was crying. He was not present in the Karbala. We're still unable to understand what happened in the Karbala. But you know, when you come to the Imam Zainul Abidin, he was looking everything by his own eyes. He was witness for everything. When he was witness, how can he become calm? He was crying because he saw this tragedy is so difficult to understand what happened in the Karbala. And after Karbala, Imam was going from Kufa to Sham. People were throwing the hot water. Even they are throwing the burning coals on Imam. One time they explained, Imam's hand was tied. He was wearing a amama. And when these things are stuck, he cannot take it out. Imam was in this difficult moment. And when that difficult moment, no one helping at the time. Hazrat Zainab was next to Imam Zainul Abidin, crying and asking, oh, my nephew, you are in that suffering. No one helping you at the time. But Imam is not remembering his suffering. He say, I remember because the Sham, 3 reasons. Number 1, I went to the court of Yazid when all the family members tied up in the rope. And number 2, when Imam was there, last tragedy, when Imam was standing, they are just introducing to Imam, who are they? This is why this young man is still alive and all the men are killed. They say because he was sick, he didn't fight during the fight of Karbala. You say kill now. Now I want to kill the Imam Zainul Abidin salam. Hazrat Zainab come and stand up in front of Imam Zainul Abidin salam. You say you're not going to kill Imam Zainul Abidin until the Zainab is alive. They say kill the Zainab salamullah alayha. When the order to killing of Imam Hazrat Zainab salamullah, one old woman named Fizza came because she asked long life because serving Hazrat Fatima Zahra salamullah not enough for her. She said, I served only few years to Hazrat Fatima. Let me have a long life to serve the daughter of Fatima in Karbala. Fizza came and stood in front of the Zainab salamullah asking, until Fizza is alive, you cannot kill Hazrat Zainab. They asked to kill Hazrat Fizza. Fizza saw that many soldiers from Ethiopia is standing next to the Yazid to protect him. He said, do you know your mistress, your king, your queen? And that they say, we know, we don't want to mention her name. Fizza introduced herself. I am the princess of the Ethiopia. I am here to serve them. How you going to believe your princess is going to kill in front of you? They turned their sword toward the Yazid. If you kill Fizza, we're going to fight against you. He reversed the order. At the time, Fizza feels satisfied. Imam Zainul Abidin Hazrat Zainab was crying, maybe turning toward the Najaf asking, oh, our grandfather, we have the people to save the Fizza, but we do not have any support in the Sham. We left alone as a prisoner. No one supporting the Ahlul Bayt. سَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. Outside.
आबिद मुज़तर एक शोर क़यामत का मदीने में है बरपा ऐ आबिद मुज़तर ज़ालिम ने तुम्हें ज़हर से मारा मेरे मौला ज़ालिम ने तुम्हें ज़हर से मारा मेरे मौला ऐ आबिद मुज़तर माँ बहनों को दरबार में देखा है खुले सर क्या सह गए दिल पर क्या सह गए दिल पर मिसल आपके साबिर कोई दुनिया में न गुजरा मिसल आपके साबिर कोई दुनिया में न गुजरा ऐ आबिद मुज़तर एक शोर क़यामत का मदीने में है बरपा ऐ आबिद मुज़तर जब ले लिया चुल्लू में वुज़ू के लिए पानी आंसू हुए जारी 40 बरस रोए हैं तुम बाप को आका ऐ आबिद मुज़तर 40 बरस रोए हैं तुम बाप को आका اے عابد مزتر، ایک شور قیامت کا مدینے میں ہے برپا، اے عابد مزتر، دلوایا تمہیں زہر دغا اے شہ عالی، سازش تھی شقی کی، سازش تھی شقی کی، دشمن جو تمہارا تھا ولی دیسی تمہارا، دشمن جو تمہارا تھا ولی دیسی تمہارا، اے عابد مزتر، ایک شور قیامت کا مدینے میں ہے برپا، اے عابد مزتر، باقر نہ رہے چین سے سجاد دل افگار، تھے جینے سے بیزار، تھے جینے سے بیزار، سب عمر مصیبت میں کٹی آپ کی آقا، سب عمر مصیبت میں کٹی آپ کی آقا، اے عابد مزتر، ایک شور قیامت کا مدینے میں ہے برپا، اے عابد مزتر، ظالم نے تمہیں زہر سے مارا میرے مولا، اے عابد مزتر، یا حسین، 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 یا حسین،
سجاد 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 سجاد، وہ 11ویں محرم، وہ کربلا کا منظر، بے گور و بے کفن تھی سرور کی لاش بے سر، ممکن تھا مر ہی جاتے عابد تڑپ تڑپ کر، بنتے علی یہ بولی خود کو سنبھالو دلبر، سجا 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 بیمار پہ مظالم، بیمار پہ مظالم، ہر گام پر نئے تھے ظالم کے تازیانے، اور ہر قدم پہ درے، مظلوم چل رہا تھا خاموش سر جھکائے، عابد کی بے کسی پر زینب کے تھے یہ نالے، سجا 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 سجا، زین اللبا کی غربت، وہ عالم اسیری، طوق گرا سے گردن اس کی جھکی ہوئی تھی، ہاتھوں میں ہتھ کڑی تھی اور پاؤں میں تھی بیڑی، منظر رلا رہا تھا، زینب تڑپ کے بولی، سجا 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 سجا، اونٹوں سے گر کے بچے ایسے بکھر رہے تھے، تسبیح ہے جیسے ٹوٹے بکھرے ہوئے ہو دانے، مائیں رسن میں جکڑی ماتم کریں تو کیسے، ہر بیوی کہہ رہی تھی بیٹا انہیں بچا لے، سجا 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 سجا، وہ خاردار راہیں وہ دھوپ کی تمازت، چھالوں کے پھوٹنے سے زخموں میں اور شدت، بے چین کر رہی تھی زنجیر کی اذیت، سب کو رلا رہی تھی بیمار کی مصیبت، سجا 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 چھوٹی بہن مسلسل کھاتی تھی تازیانے، کانوں سے چھن گئے تھے بی بی کے گوشوارے، ہر گام پر سکینہ کھاتی تھی جب تماچے، نو کے سینہ سے سرور بے چین ہو کے بولے، سجا 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 سجا، کرب و بلا سے لٹ کر زینب مدینے پہنچی، اور ہو چکی بیاں جب روداد کربلا کی، صغرا تڑپ کے جس دم اصغر کو ڈھونڈتی تھیں، بتلاؤ تم بہن کو زینب یہ روک کے بولی، سجا 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 سجا
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین، بازار شام آ گیا، بازار شام آ گیا، بازار شام آ گیا، بازار شام آ گیا، اکبر میرے جوان کس کو بلائے ماں، بازار شام آ گیا، بازار شام آ گیا، زینب کی لو خبر عابد ہے ناتواں، بازار شام آ گیا، بازار دشت بلا کو چھوڑ کر خاک شفا کو اوڑھ کر، اے فقر کبریا سنو کہتی ہوں ہاتھ جوڑ کر، کیسے چلے گی ماں اے میرے نوجوان، بازار شام آ گیا، بازار شام آ گیا، اکبر میرے جوان کس کو بلائے ماں، بازار گیا، بازار قسمت کی پاسباں ہے وہ، خیر النساء کی جاں ہے وہ، غربت کی انتہا ہوئی غیروں کے درمیان ہے وہ، شہزادی جنا سہتی ہے سختیاں، بازار آ گیا، بازار آ گیا، اکبر میرے جوان کس کو بلائے ماں، بازار شام، قاتل تیرا میرے پسر سجاد کا ہے ہم سفر، کم تو نہیں ہے یہ ستم سہتا رہا ہے وہ مگر، کیسے سہے بھلا بیمار سارے ماں، بازار شام بازار شام آ گیا، اکبر میرے جوان کس کو بلائے ماں بازار آ گیا بازار شام میں نے سنی ہے یہ صدا کہتے ہیں شام میں سبھی بدلہ علی کا لیں گے ہم بنت علی سے آج ہی پتھر سے ہیں بھری لوگوں کی جھولیاں بازار آ گیا بازار شام آ گیا اکبر میرے جوان کس کو بلائے ماں بازار آ گیا بازار شام نامحرموں کی بھیڑ میں اٹھتی نہیں نظر میری عباس کی قسم نہیں تشنا لبی کا غم کوئی دکھ ہے یہ میری جان سہمی ہے بیبیاں بازار شام آ گئے بازار شام آ گیا اکبر میرے جوان کس کو بلائے ماں بازار شام بازار شام آ گیا پالا ہے جس نے عمر بھر اکبر تجھے حجاب میں غازی کے سامنے بھی وہ بیٹا رہی حجاب میں غیروں میں بے ردا جاتی ہے علامہ بازار شام بازار شام آ گیا اکبر میرے جوان کس کو بلائے ماں بازار شام آ گیا زینب کی لو خبر عابد ہے ناتواں بازار شام آ گیا بازار وہ عابد بیمار تھا وہ عابد بیمار تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا اور شام کا بازار تھا اور شام کا بازار تھا اور مصطفیٰ کی بیٹیاں مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ السلام علیکم ابن رسول اللہ السلام علیکم ابن امیر المؤمنین وابن سید الوسیین السلام علیکم ابن فاطمة الزہرا سیدۃ النساء العالمین السلام علیکم سائر شہداء کربلا خصوصاً سیدی مولا یا ابا الفضل العباس یا ابن امیر المؤمنین السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا غریب الغرباء السلام علیکم یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء السلام علیکم یا سلطان یا ابا الحسن یا علی ابن موسیٰ رضا السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا صاحب العصر والزمان السلام علیکم یا شریک القرآن السلام علیکم یا امام الانس والجان عجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسهل اللہ تعالی مخرجک وظہورک السلام علیکم وعلی آبائک الطیبین الطاہرین السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ
نعرہ حیدر